Shame, shame, shame. It's a shame. Shame TV Uncut. What's going on, people? It's more gonna be like a quick video. As you can see on this page, the content is completely different. What's up, Triple CZ? The content over here is completely different than what we normally do. So that's why tonight's topic is what it is. Outer body experiences. Are they effing real, man, or is it just myth? That is what we will shortly discuss. What up, what up, what up? Yes, outer body experiences, myth or fact. I am more than happy to hear anyone's testimony in the comment section, in the chat, or etc. If anyone has any personal testimonies, if anyone has any stories of someone else's personal testimonies, I'd love to hear it. But anyway, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine a night ago, and we were talking about outer body experiences. We were talking about all types of esoteric things that she was into or getting into. And so anyway, she was just asking me questions about a lot of stuff, and so we were talking about it. So it came on to the subject came around to outer body experiences, and it came based upon us, all texts from the Bible to the Quran, etc., all say that universally that you are not your body. You know what I'm saying? So I know that, and most people know that these texts are derived from old knowledge and old information. So therefore, they're basically taking old truths or old proverbs at the very least and applying them. But that one in particular, states that you are not your body, that you are in your body. As a more accurate example, your body is somewhat like a spacesuit. It allegedly like a spacesuit. It allows you to operate on this plane. You know what I'm saying? No different than if you have to go to a certain other plane like outer space, you would have to operate a certain way and get a certain suit, et cetera, et cetera. So we were talking about outer body experiences. Now, one reference came up to the movie Doctor Strange. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that yet. If you haven't, it's actually pretty good. So I advise you to check it out if you haven't, if you have the chance or the time. So Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange got in a car accident and lost the use of his hands. So medical doctors, Western medical physicians, basically washed their hands with it. His condition, and said that they could not cure it. All right. Yes, please check it out. And so anyway, he goes to Hindustan, or what we call India, and Budapest and all these places, attempting to find some sort of spiritual healing, some sort of chakra type healing, to see it, because he meets a guy who used to be a paraplegic that he refused to treat because back in the day, because his illness and his condition, according to him, who Dr. Strange was one of the top physicians in America, and according to the comic, anyway, he refused to treat him because he said that his condition was untreatable. Next thing you know, this guy is running around on a basketball court playing basketball. So Dr. Strange goes to him, seeks advice. Dude tells him, sends him on his way. So anyway, he ends up there. They end up letting him in eventually. He comes in, and one of the first things that happened to him is that the woman who's like the little guru, abbot type leader of the little group, she literally pushes this nigga out of his body. All right. So she pushes Doctor Strange clear out of his fucking body. And so his physical body is still standing there. Okay. While his spiritual, what they call a spiritual body, which is actually you, the real you, because you're just in the body. The body is nothing without you in it. Finito, is finished, it's over, it's done. So the real him got pushed out of his body and he was able to look upon himself, you know, and he zapped back in, or etc. And back into reality. He was all shocked and all crazed and, you know, astounded about what just happened to him. So that's one of the most apt descriptions I can give of, if you want to see it visually, of an out-of-body experience type thought. You know, like when people say out-of-body experiences and what that means. So first, I want to give my opinion on what that means. I first started it by saying that, we are not our bodies. In my opinion, and my belief, and my knowledge, and my strong opinionated, let's say, my strong opinion on this particular subject, okay, is that you are not your body. Now, I know I can't say that everything else that goes along with it, maybe 100% or whatever, but that one I hold steadfast to. You are indeed not your body. You are inside of it. It is a machine. It is a suit. It is organic. One of the United States and actually Britain, what do you want to call these guys? Like, he's like a Prince Bandar Bush. The one Prince Bandar, the one they call Bandar Bush. You know what I'm saying? He goes everywhere. He mingles with the government. He mingles with powerful families, etc. He mingles with NASA, etc. So, dude was given an interview once, and he had told the story of how about aliens and all that shit like that and invasions. And he told the story about how the aliens that we call aliens or extraterrestrials, when they came here and when they saw them and talked to them and shit, when the reporter asked him, or the interviewer asked him, what did they look like, he didn't hesitate, he didn't anything. He clearly said, oh, they were black. They were what you would call, Africans. What up, Chemo? He was like, they were what you would call Africans. You know what I'm saying? But he was like, they were extremely tall. You know what I'm saying? He was two men and one woman, and they were wearing earpieces, like some sort of a headset type earpiece or etc. What up? And yeah, so, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because he said that the ship that they came in, he was like, you have to understand, telling the interviewer, you have to understand that the ships that they use are not what we use. Their ships are alive. They're organic. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the shit that they're using, the way that they operate on these planes is through an organic method. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing with us. As far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing with us. We operate in an organic manner and in an organic entity called a body. So the question tonight, Chemo, is out-of-body experiences. Are they factual? Or are they just myth? Is it possible for one to have an outer body experience, like in Doctor Strange? Nobody in the chat has had one, or something remotely close to that. I think I'm the only one right now in this fucking chat who it's actually happened to. It was a crazy thing. Like I said, I told the story before, I think, and every time I tell it, it'll be the same. You know, like when I came out of my body, and it was like when I floated up, the first thing I realized was that I was looking at my television, but my head was like at the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? Like I was very high up. And so I was like, I immediately turned around and I looked down and I saw myself. There you go. There you have it. So as far as Shame TV goes and Shame TV Uncut goes, out of body experiences are actually and indeed factual. For the reason is because I've had one myself. I wasn't high off of anything. I absolutely wasn't drunk or anything of that manner. You know what I'm saying? So as a matter of fact, at the time I had owned my own business. So I wasn't working for anyone, I was working for myself. And so my days were pretty much free because I didn't do shit. So when I came home, I just came home to sit down and smoke for a second. And because I remember that day clearly, I had planned on going to buy some sneakers. So I was like, well, I'm gonna come home and chill and smoke first. And so that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? Said it happened to him. And it's like you literally see your own body. Like I saw myself laying on the bed. I had one foot on the bed and one foot on the floor. I was laid out on the bed. And it was like the moment that I recognized that I was looking at myself, I zapped back into my body and I woke the fuck up. Like I was immediately energized, woke, like no drowsiness, no nothing. No nothing. That shit was fucking crazy. That's why from that day on till now, I keep saying, I know, man. I don't know everything. I don't know everything, y'all. But I'm telling y'all, this shit is not real. Like, death is not what we think it is, man. It is not what we think it is. It is not a finality. It's only a finality for that particular piece of muscle or machine that you were using. That's it. But your ass is going to continue on somewhere. That shit's crazy. But like I said, I had met it. It was around the time my father passed. And I remember watching a lecture from Dr. Delbert Blair. And he was saying, if something that you want to know, something you want to understand and comprehend, he was like, don't waste your time thinking about it. He was like, just meditate about it, or i.e. pray. You know what I'm saying? Message, yeah. And it was like it was crazy because he said just pray on it for 5 days. Meditate on it, think about it from here to there. Don't dwell on it, but just let it cross your mind, whatever. And he was like, the universe will give you the answer. He was like, you'll get your answer. They call that the witch rod in you. And this shit is crazy, yo. It was like I literally saw myself and I zapped up because I was wondering about death so much at that time. And it was like, it answered the question for me. Like I answered the question. Life answered the question. Whatever the entity is that we call the gods or God, which is, I think, is nothing more than us in these bodies. But that's just my opinion. But, you said when you wake up, you can't move. Oh, no, I was able to move, Triple C, like easy, like nothing. Like, you know what it was? Like I said, before it happened, I felt like the feeling that I had was like I was drunk. Like I was about to pass out from being drunk. Like, that's what I remember. Like, I was like, damn, like, what the fuck? Like, and it was like the feeling that I had. I can never forget that shit. It was like I was drunk. But it was the middle of the morning. It was like 11 o'clock, yo. So I know God, and I don't drink like that. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way in hell I was drunk because I don't drink like that, especially no goddamn morning. So I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And I laid down. Like I said, I laid down really quickly, so much that only one foot was on the bed and one foot was still on the floor, yo. And I was like, the next thing I know, I'm looking at my TV, but I realized that my head is at the ceiling. Like I'm looking down at my TV. And so I'm looking down at my television, and then I'm like, whoa, like my head's at the ceiling. I turn and I'm looking at myself, and it was like I sat back in myself, and that feeling that made me lay down, that drowsy, that drunk type feeling that made me lay down for that split second, which is all it was. Yo, it was gone. And when I tell you gone, I was up for the rest of the day doing movies. Like, yo, it was gone. I did not have that feeling anymore. So it's like I didn't know. I to this not to this day, but actually for years I didn't know what to make of that shit. Like I never called it an outer body experience. You know, like that's something I'm recently somewhat attaching to it. But I never really called it an outer body experience. It was just something that happened that I felt that answered the question that, yo, this shit is not real. Like when your family dies, yo, when our family or ancestors die, yo, they're not gone forever, G. And a lot of the times we be really thinking that is just religion, but they really gone, and that's like, no, G, they're real. That shit is no, man. It's just, oh man, that means they're all floating around us. And I heard that too. Yeah, right. And it was like something that you should have been able to do all the time. That I'm gonna try to do it again, yo. I'm gonna meditate it on you for 5 days starting tonight. I'm gonna try to do that shit again. It was the most ill thing ever, yo. Like it's like, man, this shit is not real, G. This shit is not real. We're not this body. We're just in it. We're just in it. We're just in it. I'm gonna try it anyway, Triple C. I think that we wouldn't have the powers we have if we shouldn't have them. And I think we have the powers that we have for a reason. I think I'm too strong for that. I'm too much of a Super Saiyan. I'm like Vegeta. You can't invade me. I'm the prince of all Saiyans. My pride won't allow it. This is my body. I took care of making it. It almost wasn't here either. So, because I was born with heavy asthma, so I almost didn't make it here, y'all. Like I spent like the first 2-3 months of my life in the hospital. I didn't come home till like I was some months old, some shit. Like that shit is ill. Yeah, I'm not afraid of that stuff, Triple C. I'm the god of all of that shit. At the end of the day, we are eternal. That I know. So whatever happens here, it'll get corrected again somewhere else down the line. Hell, that's probably why half of us here right now, to correct some shit. I know I do not need to correct my rolling skills. They are on point. Oh, and before I go, I do want to let y'all know that I am planning on finishing that live stream that I started. We will be touching on Umar Johnson in the coming days too. We're gonna ask the question: should Umar apply to teach at LeBron's school? I think LeBron should let Umar teach at one of his schools, yo. I really do. Y'all know I'm just bullshitting. I don't really believe that shit. And we go, yes. And then this nigga is definitely, we're gonna talk about the actual evidence that Frank has boots on the ground. I want that to be a call-in thing, though. I want somebody to call in. I want his ass to call in and answer to the people about all this doing the work shit, so he can misappropriate the funds. Hey, yo, you ain't nobody putting that nigga in charge of no funds, Triple C. That nigga gonna be in charge of the science department or the philosophy department or the whatever the fuck department LeBron and them niggas put his ass in. He got too much pride for that, though. He'll never do that shit. He'll never do that shit. And he ain't got the credentials to back up what he says, so they can't hire him. But sir, you said you had 7 degrees. This is only 1.5. That nigga's gonna be the fucking mascot for the football team, and the basketball team is gonna be a Umar. Like, what is that? An Infantunde? What is an Infantunde? Oh, nothing. Oh, scam artist ass, hustler ass nigga. For over 10 years, bitch, you've been talking about trying to put a school together. Shit is shameful, G. Shameful. But out of body experiences, y'all, is what we talked about tonight. But on Derek Jones Talks Live, and especially Shane TV 2, which is the next channel I'm going to be going live from, which is Shane TV 2. We definitely going to be talking about Umar's bitch ass. And we want to know, Umar, are you going to apply for a teaching gig at LeBron's school? Some people say they don't want you nowhere near that shit. You know what I'm saying? I concur. But the question still has to be asked, because we'd like to thoroughly embarrass you. And thoroughly embarrass you for running around acting like you had this monopoly on building a school. Nobody else could even talk about it, and everything was all centered around investing in your school. And then you got people out here who really had boots on the ground and was like, you know what, man, fuck this fuck nigga and the shit he talking about. I'ma really do it. So kudos to LeBron James and his wife, you know what I'm saying, friends and family, whoever had a hand in us. And actually putting that shit together is just one small step, which is all it is. So I don't want everybody going crazy about it, but it's just one small step, yo.